Alright, welcome to the commentary part of this narrative showcase, and if you do not know, the commentary part is usually just me commentating over the fight and the champion at hand. And in this video, in this second ever narrative showcase, we have Kraven the Hunter. Now, this video, or at least like rank 3 gameplay of Kraven, has been heavily requested, and now I finally grant it. This fight right here, a quick note, this has a 50% damage reduction, so this is like nowhere near his maximum damage output. Just had to throw that out there because, you know, 4,000 medium seems a bit off for sure, but no, this is just his gimped damage output, but he's still doing very fine in this fight, and Rocket Raccoon right here is still melting big time. So here he drops GSP2, that's no big deal. Here we go back into a combo, into our own SP2, and yeah, the fight is just about over after one juicy crit there. Go back in, get some more bleeds applied, drop the relic, and that does it. Now we have this paradox generator fight, and this is honestly such a fun experience with Kraven because this increases your combat power rate significantly, so that means you get to spam more SP2s, and when you get to spam more SP2s, you do a lot more damage. So yeah, this is honestly one of Kraven's best nodes, and you're gonna see why in just a second here, because look at the power gain, look at how much bleed damage is happening right here, into just another SP2 if we wanted to, but I'm going to preserve it so we can get the root cycle going, and this should just about do it, to be honest. Get some more crits in, and yeah, deep wound should finish the job right here. I don't think there are many things to note in this fight, however, it is kind of a showcase of Kraven's control whenever the opponent is rooted, because when they are rooted, unblockable doesn't matter because they can't really touch you. So like that is a way of countering certain mechanics in this game. And yeah, I think the root mechanic is a very strong one for sure. Kraven's is, you know, one of many, but he was the first root champion, and you can tell that he was like kind of an experiment of the root mechanic, but he still is pretty handy for some matchups, and the control is definitely very solid in some matchups as well. And yeah, the critical hits are going to start racking up those bleeds, and Star-Lord is going to begin to melt, and this should honestly just about do it. Here we go for the relic because he is unblockable, and yeah, now the unblockable is pretty much irrelevant because he is now rooted, so he can't really do any other action but the heavy attack, and the fight is now over. Now we are about to witness one of the most beautiful things in this game, and I'm of course talking about Kraven the Hunter with Power Shield. Now, Kraven the Hunter has critical bleeds which are multiplied by his critical damage rating, but then you pair that with plus 400% attack and you have some incredible bleed damage that can one-shot essentially anybody in this game. So yeah, here we go for a heavy attack, and now it's showtime. And the SP2 is an absolute thing of beauty with all the crits just at the ready, and that matchup is done just like that. Now we have a side story here featuring Electro. Now, I've never covered Electro before, I'm pretty sure, and yeah, he's honestly a pretty fun character. Very simple, very 2014-ish, obviously, but he's still fun to play. Still very easy to use as well, and he just, literally all he does is crit, and yeah, you just have to hope that the crits are doing good damage, which in this case, they're fine. You know, they're not bad by any means, but yeah, it's just like Electro doesn't really have much to his kit, on attack at least. On defense, he is very, very annoying, but yeah, this should be a pretty quick fight regardless, because like I said, his crit rate is absurdly high once you have both your power and the opponent's power built up. So here we bait out one more SP1 into the SP2 in just a second, get that beautiful crit, and this should be a wrap right now. Now it's time to cover Electro on the defending side, and here we have Kraven the Hunter in a fight that he somewhat works for. The thing with Electro is that he of course inflicts thorns damage on every hit, but the good thing about Kraven is that he has access to a 40% disorient, which can help mitigate the damage a tiny bit, plus the fact that he is mainly a bleed DPS, so like he can't really get the majority of his damage reflected back to him. And Electro plus the tiny health pool, yeah, it means that this fight is over pretty quickly. Now we have some more Kraven with Power Shield, and like I said before, this is just an absolute thing of beauty. This also has the Tantrum node, which is a very annoying one, but Kraven the Hunter is a perfect counter for it, because if you have a disorient on the opponent, then they won't trigger any of the annoying damage, and Kraven the Hunter has one of the easiest disorients to like access in the game. So yeah, very, very helpful in this situation. Here we go for the heavy attack, and now it's time to just start building up those bleeds and prepare for a massive SP2 in just a second here. So here we're going to go in, we're going to drop the heavy attack, but I go for the SP2 already instead, and yeah, a beautiful 76,000 crit, and this matchup is almost as good as over. Just like one more special attack should do the trick, which he drops right there. So now I go back in, I drop the SP1, and that does it. Now we have a weapon node which benefits DOT champions, and of course Kraven the Hunter is a bleed character, so he benefits greatly from this. Now Kraven the Hunter works for a lot of bleed lanes, a lot of DOT lanes very, very well, given that he does have access to a critical bleed, which is a supercharged bleed essentially. Now here we drop the SP1, and after this it is time to get back into the loop, which of course Kraven the Hunter, his loop is one that is very satisfying to pull off. So here I go back in, we drop the combo, and yeah, bleeds should start ticking for a lot of damage very, very soon, which it already has started, to be honest. Now I go back in, into the SP2, and this is the Kraven loop done perfectly with a beautiful crit to end it just like that. And to close out part 1 of this video, we have Dr. Octopus here, a Sinister Six friend turned foe, well, more like turned prey for Kraven the Hunter. And yeah, this fight is another thing of beauty in my opinion, because when you pull off the Kraven rotation, yeah, it is just a thing of absolute beauty. So here he drops the SP1, that's fine, we actually do need that for this rotation to work well. So now we drop the heavy attack to get him into the trap, and now it's time to start racking up those bleeds before our first SP2. Now here he plays a bit stingy, which is okay because we can just go back in and time our SP2 perfectly right there. Now we have our damage output really ramping up, and yeah, let's just try to get those crits going, which we do pretty well. Now it's time to just play it a bit more cautiously because we have our SP2 at the ready pretty much. So we go back in, drop the heavy attack into the SP2, and yeah, he's at 3 bars of power, but if we drop the relic and it connects, then it'll be more than enough to just take away Dr. Octopus, and it does just that. Thank you for watching this narrative showcase. Yeah, I think this is slowly becoming, not even slowly, it is quickly becoming one of my favorite series to make on this channel. And yeah, I just hope that y'all enjoy it as well. Part 2 of this is gonna come out pretty soon, but there is one that I have planned. I actually have 2 planned that aren't Kraven themed, but I think one of them is gonna be very, very special. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on this narrative showcase, and yeah, that's about it for me.